Real businesses don't guess, they predict with AI. Hey guys, in this video, I'm gonna be talking about how serious businesses that are serious about AI use it to try to predict the future for their business. So yeah, basically in this video, we'll be talking about a specific case study about demand forecasting. So I will tell you more about that. I will explain to you what is it exactly, demand forecasting, why would we need it, and how do we apply in concrete terms, in really tangible, real ways, how do we apply AI and machine learning for demand forecasting, and some examples of how companies use that, some challenges, if you are a business owner and you want to do that for your own business, and some final remarks. So let's get started. First of all, what is demand forecasting? Basically, the idea is very simple. It's about predicting future customer demand for a product or a service. For example, you are a coach and you are selling a course. What will be the number of people that want to buy your course next month? This is a question that AI and machine learning can answer. And to do that, we use historical data, which could mean past demand data, or sales. It could also be promotions, or even the weather. For example, you have a local store, and if it is sunny, people go out and buy drinks and so on from you more than often, We could also use the ad budget. For example, you own an e-commerce brand, and obviously if you spend more, then you will likely attract more customers. And there could be many examples across multiple industries. For example, an Amazon seller who manages 100 SKUs in multiple stores and wants to predict the quarterly demand for each SKU. Or you have a restaurant owner, that wants to predict how many people will come during the next weekend, or how many burgers will be ordered online next week. And this can be applied to even more complex use cases. For example, a utility company that wants to predict electricity demand because they will buy it later from a power plant company. Now, the question is, why would we need it? Basically, having accurate forecasting is nice, but at the end of the day, we want real business outcome. And every single business, they want two things: increase their revenues or decrease their costs. So if we go back to our examples for the Amazon seller, if he has an accurate forecast about the future, he will know how many items of each SKU needs to be in his inventory to make sure he always sells those items. Also, if he buys too many of an item, he will be in overstock, meaning an oversupply of an item, and basically he will spend too much in his inventory. And on the opposite, if he is in understock, meaning undersupply of an item, then he leaves money on the table because many people will want to order something, but they will not be in the inventory. So yeah, basically he will be losing money. Concerning the restaurant owner, for the question how many clients will come in during the next weekend, he will be able to prepare the right amount of staff, because again, if he brings in too many staffs, he will pay too much and it will cost a lot of money. And if he's understaffed, people will not be happy, the customers, they will leave bad reviews and it will be bad for business, right? And again, if we can answer the question, how many smashed burgers will be ordered in an accurate way, then we will know the right amount of ingredients to buy for the beef, the tomatoes, the cheese, and so on. And finally, for our utility company, they can avoid purchasing electricity at premium rates during peak demand, and they can allocate staff in the right locations to avoid blackouts. So yeah, very useful. And another thing is that if we go back to the e-commerce store, one mistake that people always make in demand forecasting is that they confuse demand with sales. Actually, demand is not equal to sales, because predicting demand is predicting how many items customers want or need to buy. However, sales is predicting how many items will be sold. Because if you predict 100 items will be in demand, but you have 0 of those items in your inventory, then the predicted demand is 100. However, the actual sales will be 0 because nothing will be in your inventory basically. So in a nutshell, demand forecasting informs how to allocate resources in the future, because we want to maximize resource allocation to boost sales and minimize cost. So yeah, this will answer the questions: should I stock up more items in my inventory? Should I hire more staff for my restaurant? And should I buy more beef for my burgers? Now we move on to the part about applying AI and machine learning techniques for demand forecasting. Actually, those advanced techniques have proven to be very useful for demand forecasting. Traditional methods are moving average. So basically just, let's say on average, you have sold 10 units of something per day. Then you say, okay, if the average is 10, then I predict that tomorrow 10 on average will be sold. Or you can do seasonal forecasting. Basically, it's the same concept, but saying, okay, last autumn I sold 10,000 units. So next autumn I will sell more or less the same quantity. And finally, many people rely on just gut feeling, They will say something like, okay, so last year I sold 100,000 items and this year I increased my ad budget by 10%. So I should sell around 10% more, But actually, this is not enough, and this would result in very inaccurate predictions. Now, serious businesses that are really serious about their forecasting and want to optimize the inventory will rely on machine learning and AI techniques. You have simple techniques that are called gradient boosting, XGBoost or Light GBM, that are used widely, in e-commerce, in pharma, in many other fields to do specific forecasting. But you also have more advanced techniques that rely on something called neural networks, which is basically deep learning. All those models that you hear every day, ChatGPT, Gemini, Nano Banana, or even Sora, they all rely on deep learning and neural networks. And the thing is that we can use the same foundation, which is neural networks, to build predictive models. And those type of models are called recurrent neural networks, for example, LSTM. And obviously you have more sophisticated type of models. For example, you have Google and Oxford who teamed up to create a specific architecture to do like very accurate forecasting. And obviously the right machine learning technique and model will be used for the right business. Obviously this is subject to experiments, and you need like an actual AI agency which has the right AI technical skills that will know how to do that, and to evaluate the forecasting ability of each model, to compare them until we have the most accurate model. One interesting thing about this particular application of AI is that you have many competitions, and every single time we can see in the results of those competitions is that machine learning techniques always outperform all type of other algorithms. The first competition that I wanted to tell you guys a little bit more about is called the M5 competition. You can see more about it in this website called Kaggle.com. Kaggle, is a website for machine learning data practitioners, people who love challenges about AI. Even, companies, they post their data there so that data scientists can solve, a specific issue that companies have. So you can see here that for this competition, we are trying to estimate the unit sales of Walmart retail goods. And another interesting thing is that companies are ready to pay, big prices for the winners. Here, the first place would receive $25,000. And actually, this is not a lot, for a company to pay this amount, because hiring full-time AI and machine learning experts would cost at least 100K per year, you know? So yeah, it's a win-win for everybody basically. Another nice thing about this website is that you can go to a discussion where people, you know, discuss their approaches of solving this particular issue, and you can see what people are discussing and what are they trying. And as you can see here, third place solution, NN approach. NN stands for neural networks, which is the type of model that I told you about, which is like the advanced type of AI. You can also see scikit-learn. Scikit-learn is a very famous machine learning library used in Python that data scientists and machine learning experts use a lot to do various machine learning tasks. Another nice competition in demand forecasting is the VN1 competition, which is about forecasting the sales of different e-vendors for the next 13 weeks. So here is a blog post about the results of this competition, and yeah, it's pretty technical, you know. So if you're not very technical, it might bore you, you know. But the lesson that you should learn as a business owner here is that here in the column model, all of those here are machine learning models. So you can see here convolutional neural network, LGBM, which is another machine learning technique. And finally, as I am speaking, we have the V2 version of this competition that is still ongoing right now in the month of October 2025. And let me open it. So basically, our goal is to minimize shortage and holding costs. And the scenario that is written here is extremely realistic because actually this data is taken from a real company. So here it says, it's early morning. You are the inventory planner of a retail chain. Every week before the store opens, you must place an order to your central warehouse, which will be delivered in 2 weeks. You know your current stock and incoming deliveries, and you have access to around 3 years of historical weekly sales and stock availability. So this is extremely important. Remember, I told you the way to solve this is to use past historical data. So this is basically the data that will be used to feed those machine learning and AI models to be able to predict the future, basically. And as you can see here, this sales sequence is based on actual sales from an anonymous company. And here again, as in many competitions, you have real prizes. So the first place overall will receive 5,000 euros. Now let's talk about some examples of company, applying machine learning for demand forecasting. The first one is called Animal Care Group, which is a UK group. Let me see. This is their website. Yeah, basically what they do is that they are a veterinary pharmaceutical manufacturer and distributor based in the UK. They operate in 7 European countries. They have more than 200 employees, and their gross revenue was more than $80 million in 2024. The machine learning technique that was used is called Light GBM, and also the company applied the same machine learning techniques to the rest of their forecasts because from this case study, first they applied this methodology for a small amount of items, and then once they saw that it resulted in better forecasts, they of course generalized the same methodology over the rest of their items. Another company that uses AI to solve demand forecasting is called Picnic. It's actually a quite famous Dutch company, and basically they are an online supermarket. So they don't have any physical store. You will just have a mobile app. You will order anything that you want, and then like a small pickup truck or a small car will come to your house and deliver everything that you wanted. Here is their case study. It's actually quite long, and this one is addressed to machine learning experts who can understand, the technical terms and so on, because it's quite technical. But nonetheless, it's very interesting, and you can see that real companies, use AI to do demand forecasting. Another interesting case study that I found is from a Turkish university called Mersin University, and they did that for their restaurants. So it is described in a research paper. Let me find it. Yeah, it is here. So what they did is that they just chose multiple techniques and then they compared them in terms of accuracy. And what is nice about their approach is that they included multiple interesting data. For example, they would include in the input, is the day an exam day or not? Is the day the salary day or not? What is the total calorie amount of the menu? What is the type of side dish, you know? So this is the part of their paper that describes those questions. And yeah, you can see that if you give this type of information to the machine learning model, it will be able to make more accurate forecasts. Because maybe if it is salary day, then the employees will be happy, you know, to get paid. Then they will not consume inside the restaurant of the university, but maybe just pay themselves some nice meal outside, you know, and this will have an impact on the actual consumption of items inside the restaurant. So yeah, I think this was very interesting. Now, I will go over some challenges about those demand forecasting projects. The first one is about data quality, availability, and cleaning. Because basically what we need as an AI agency, as an AI expert to be able to make accurate forecasts is to have as complete data as possible of the past. What were the promotions that you did? What was the exact ad budget? What was your level of stock, of inventory? How many sales did you do? Did you have some days where your CRM didn't work and didn't record the data, and so on and so forth? Basically, we need to do like a deep investigation about your past data to clean it and to have the highest quality of data to be able to make accurate forecasts. And also a second challenge is that you need to get employees from multiple departments to collaborate and to get on board with you, to be encouraged, you know, to work alongside with you. Because what they want at the end of the day, those demand planners, is that they don't want to feel like they will be replaced by AI. They still want to feel like they can add value to this forecast in the future, you know? So yeah, not only do they need to be involved in the future, but also they need to be able to collaborate, to share data, and so on and so forth. Another challenge is to be able to choose the right AI model. So we need like an approach that looks like research and development for this kind of projects. Another challenge is that there is a lack of expertise for small businesses. So maybe, you know, you might be a small business and like a small e-commerce brand, you might make, I don't know, $5 million per year, you know, and you have an employee who is super passionate about AI and he follows the latest trends about ChatGPT and so on. And basically this employee will be like, okay, I'm pretty sure ChatGPT will figure out how to do accurate forecasting and so on. But this employee doesn't have foundational AI skills, was not trained on how to code and train like a machine learning model, you know, because at the end of the day, ChatGPT was trained on text. It is a very wrong approach to use ChatGPT or those foundational LLMs to try to predict sales or demand in the future. People might not be qualified, but they might not even realize that they are not qualified to do the job, you know? But nowadays, you have skilled AI agencies that have the skills in terms of forecasting to help you make accurate forecasts for your business, basically. And another challenge is that those models, it's not about fire and forget. It's not just about developing them and then that's it, we are done. No, because the quality of those models degrade over time, they decrease over time. So they need to be retrained in a continuous way, because your business is like a living organism. It always changes. It is always in movement. You will sometimes have new ads, new marketing angles, you will have new discounts, or you will launch the same products in a new country. And yeah, basically you need to always keep maintaining those models so that they always perform in a very accurate way. And finally, some last remarks about AI for demand forecasting. As a business owner, you need to know that many businesses can benefit from AI and machine learning for their demand forecasting. And this application can both save costs and add extra revenue to your business. And even smaller businesses can benefit from it. You don't need to be Google or Microsoft to benefit from demand forecasting. And the best way to go about this is to start small. For example, to try to predict a small amount of items. And if you see real business outcomes in your business, then you can grow step by step, and then, try to apply the same method to the rest of your items. So yeah, that was it, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. If you are interested into this field and you want to discuss more with me, feel free to book a meeting with me through the calendar link in the description. Cheers, guys.